Hello students, so in this video I'm going to show you how to solve equations that contain fractions, like problem number 4 on handout 3a for the first part of algebra. Okay, and right now I have x plus 4 divided by 5 equals 2/3 minus x minus 3 divided by 6. Okay, so on my previous videos I showed you some steps that I like to use in order to solve any equation. So the first thing that I like to get rid of is always fractions. Then I like to get rid of the parentheses. Then I start adding and subtracting from both sides of the equation until all my letters are on one side and all the numbers by themselves are on the other side. And then I can multiply and divide. So isolate the variables. Okay, so these are the steps that we're going to follow. The first thing that we're going to get rid of on this equation is going to be fractions. In order to get rid of a fraction of 3 fractions, we have to find the least common denominator first. Okay, so we have to find the least common denominator between 5, 3, and 6. Right. So what's the smallest number that can be divided by 5, can be divided by 3, and can be divided by 6? In other words, what is the number that will go inside the little division house, right? What is this number? This is what we're looking for. What's the smallest number that we can put inside the house if we were doing a division? Okay, and we're going to find out that this number is going to be 30. Okay, so 30 is the smallest number that can be divided by 5, divided by 3, divided by 6. So that is my least common denominator. That is a number that I need right now. Okay, so once you find the least common denominator, what are you going to use the least common denominator for? You're going to multiply every single fraction in the equation times the least common denominator. This is not going to change the outcome of the equation. Okay, but that's what we're going to do. Multiply everything times the least common denominator. Okay, x plus 4 divided by 5. And then on the right side, I'm also going to multiply 30 times 2/3. And then minus 30 times the second fraction. Okay, every single fraction times the least common denominator, and that is going to get rid of the fraction in the next step. Okay, and this is how we're going to get rid of the fraction. We're going to do a small division. So 30 divided by 5, and that's going to get rid of our fraction. Right, the least common denominator divided by the original denominator, and that's going to get rid of our fraction. So 30 divided by 5, that's going to be 6. And then I have to keep everything that was on the top of that fraction. Okay, the second thing, we're going to do it again, right? 30 divided by the number on the bottom times the top. So 30 divided by 3, that's going to be 10. And I have to keep everything that was on the top. In this case, there's only a number 2. We got rid of 2 fractions now. Okay, minus, I'm going to keep my sign in there and do the last division. So 30 divided by 6. 30 divided by 6, right? 30 is on top, 6 is on bottom, so 30 divided by 6, that's going to be 5. And I have to keep everything on the top, which is, in this case, x minus 3. In one step, we get rid of all of the fractions on my equation, so everything should be easier to deal with now. Okay, you get rid of the fractions. That's my new equation, or the new outcome of my equation. The next step is going to get rid of parentheses, and for parentheses we're going to use distributive property. Okay, so distributive property, how does it work? You're going to multiply whatever's in front of the parentheses times every single term that's inside the parentheses in order to get rid of the parentheses. Okay, and make sure that you include any signs that are outside of the parentheses as well. So let's go ahead and do distributive property for the first parenthesis. 6 times x, and then also 6 times positive 4. So positive 6 times positive 4, that should be 24. And we're good. Okay, let's get rid of the next parenthesis. This is simple. 10 times 2, that's 20. And then the last parenthesis, I have a negative 5 times x, that's going to be negative 5x. And I also have negative 5 times negative 3, So multiplication of two negatives, that's a positive result. And 5 times 3, that's 15. Okay, we got rid of the parentheses, that's the next step. Now at this point, every single time that you do one of these steps, 1, 2, 3, or 4, you have to combine like terms if there's any to combine. Okay, if you can combine anything in there, go ahead and combine it. So let's see, we can combine something on the left side. I have x's and I have numbers. I can't combine those two. And on the right side, I have numbers. I have x's and I have numbers. So it looks like I can combine the numbers on the right side of the equation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and combine only the numbers that I have on the right side of the equation. So the left side is going to remain the same, 6x plus 24. And on the right side, I'm going to combine 20 plus 15, which is 35. And everything else remains the same. Okay, this is simplifying the equation, so it's easier for us to reach the result. Okay, combining like terms. The next step, if we go back to our steps, is going to be adding and subtracting until all of the letters are on one side and all the numbers are on the other side of the equation. So I'm sending all the letters to one side and all the numbers to the other side. So I have to decide first, right? I have a letter and a number. I have letters and numbers on the right side. So I have to send all the letters to one side, and I'm just going to choose. I have to choose, right? It makes no difference. You can send it to the other side, but I'm going to try to send all the letters to the left side. So I already have one letter on the left side, which is the 6x. I have to send my negative 5x to the left side of the equation. So the opposite operation, in order to send it to the other side of the equation, is going to be adding. So if I add 5x to the right side, I have to add 5x to the left side, and that's going to send the letters to the left side. Okay, so the 5x's cancel. On the left side, 6x plus 5x is going to be 11x. I leave the number in here. And at this point, I have all the letters on the left side. Okay, so if I send the letters to the left side, I have to send the numbers to the right side with their opposite operation, so changing the signs. Okay, so I have a positive 24. In order to get rid of that positive 24 from the left, I will have to subtract it. That's the opposite of positive, it's negative, and I have to do negative on both sides. Okay, so what's left in here? 11x, those two cancel out. And if you do that subtraction, 35 minus 24, that's going to be 11. So at this point, I have all the terms with a variable on the left and all the terms with no variable, or just the constants, the numbers by themselves, on the right side. So this is when I can move to the last step, which is multiplications and divisions. Okay, so if it's multiplying, I'm going to divide in order to cancel it. If it's dividing, I'm going to multiply. So if I'm trying to isolate the x, I have a multiplying 11. So that means that I have to get the opposite operation, which is divide by 11. And if I divide the left side, I have to divide the right side. Okay, numbers through division, the cancellation is going to be this way. It becomes a 1. 11 divided by 11, that's the same as saying 1x, but we don't really write the 1 in front of the x, we just say x. Okay, and then on the right side, 11 divided by 11, we do have to specify the number in there. So 11 divided by 11, that's 1. So it looks like the result for our equation is going to be x equals 1, which means if I take 1 and substitute into every single x in my original equation, the left side is going to be equal to the right side. Both sides are going to be equal. So let me know if you have any questions regarding this problem, and make sure that you are subscribing to the channel.